Thanks, Alice, and good morning, everybody, and welcome to this session. My name is Amanda Jenkins, and I should be doing this presentation today. The session is all about amputee slings, so we're going to cover a variety of options. Unfortunately, there is not just one sling that's suitable for all amputee situations, so this is where it can be quite confusing. But hopefully we can help you with the choices. Because we have to look at different things. We have to look at the stump length, whether it's single or bilateral, the tone, the hoist, things like that. So, you know, it's working it all out. But to help you, we've got a really good poster. So initially, I'm going to ask Alice just to bring the poster up. We can get this to you after the session. So, you know, it will be there as a prompt later on. But it's quite a good poster that details a variety of styles, and we're going to look at each of them just to help you understand when you would use them. Can you just put the pan out for a full screen of the poster, please, Alice? So these are the most popular. Oh no, just go to page one. Sorry, page one. That's it. These are our most popular styles, often requested and used for varying amputee situations. You may recognise the shapes, but there are a mixture. So we put them into families, basically. The first two on the top row are the deluxe shaped legs, where you've got individual paddle legs that wrap around the residual leg. So there's those. Then we've got a straight leg version, option for toileting. There is a clip one if anyone has a clip or stud hoist. And then the other four, 1, 2, 5, are more hammocky shapes. So those are the most popular. There are others. I mean, there's going to be, you know, another few that we can use if it's a specific challenging situation, but those are our most popular. And then we just go to the second page. What I've done to try and help you is a matrix. So the matrix will ask certain questions which we ask to help lead you to an option.
I'm really sorry. We can't see anything.
We can't see. No, we can't. Can't
Sorry.
see anything at all.
Okay. Right. Anything at all?
No, it's just a blank screen.
I can see on mine.
I can see mine too.
Alice, have you got a suggestion? We've got they can't see the poster.
So some of you can see it and some of you can't.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I think I'm not sure how to make you be able to see it because I'm just sharing it into the chat. So a few people can see. I'll send it at the end of the session as well. And I'll try and pop it in the group in a minute so you can all see it because quite a few people can see it, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Sorry about that.
For those that can't, I'll hold it up a little bit and then we can just...
I was able to until you said I can't.
Yeah, I've stopped it. Yeah, I've stopped it now.
Oh, okay.
I wonder whether it's something to do with the view if you go to your more button and change the view on the screen.
Yeah, I'll try and reshare it now quickly and then yeah.
If not, I'll just quickly show it close up with the camera so that you can understand what I'm talking about. But just quickly, the matrix will tell you certain questions we ask, for example, the length of the stump, the tone of the body, the hoist, things like that. So those are really good questions. What you want to do if you need access for toileting, whether you need to leave it in, additions you can add on. So it's quite a helpful little, oh, what's this method? I can't.
She could.
Okay, so hopefully you've seen it, but if not, Alice, if you just just zoom in. Hopefully, so we can just see what we're talking about. This poster here, it shows the styles that Alice was just step a bit close to the camera and maybe more help. So the styles that are most popular and used, Silvalea styles that are used for amputee situations, we're going to look at those, each of those, and then on the back is, as we said, a matrix with all
Maddie, you've been muted. I'm not sure how, but you've been muted.
Right. We'll get going in a minute. How that's happened, I haven't touched a thing. So, right, let's recap then. If those that can't see this poster, it looks like this. I've blown it up. It's an A2, but certainly it will show the slings that we're going to look at. And then at the back, there's a matrix with all the questions we ask in order to work out suitable styles. So we'll go through that during the session. Let's just go back screen. So as I said, there's just not one style that's suitable. Very difficult to show because of course we don't have an amputee model, but I'm going to do my best. Judith's going to help me and I'll just explain the most common is probably something like this, a deluxe straight. So this is our fast fit deluxe. All the slings we feature will be linked through to the chat, so you'll be able to see what we've got at the end. So don't worry if you forget what they are. So this is the fast fit deluxe. It's got very square shaped legs and they wrap around the femur. So certainly will help to support a thigh. So we're looking at long limb amputations to start with. So this is standard slings can be used, most styles, as long as the residual limb is quite long. I usually say long knee and below a long limb. When it starts to get shorter and shorter, the worry is that the residual part will slip through the aperture on a divided leg. So we need to just think about that. We always had a guide of 27 centimetres from groin to the point of amputation. That was worked out many years ago, but depends on the style of sling. But certainly we're looking at long limb amputations at the moment, so it's straightforward. But this style, because of the paddles, Judith, you can see that this would, with a long limb, wrap around the femur. And it wraps around and connects together, if you're familiar with this shape. And then we've got an outside tape that feeds through. So we can see here that we would get support from that leg paddle. So thinking about long limb, knee and below, then the stump would sit within that quite comfortably. Are we okay, Alice? Seems to be lots of...
All good.
Good, okay. So I'm just going to hoist Judith up so we can see and just picture it. This is a full body sling. It will give full body support. Lift up and we'll go on long leg. Colour coding to work, usually it's a short shoulder, long leg. The options are there to work out at the assessment point to see which is the most relevant once you've decided the most optimum pickup position, then document it within your care plan. But short shoulder, long leg to start. And then if we need to adjust, we will. Okay, so we can picture a long limb amputee, the leg paddle that wraps around. They're quite long, these leg paddles, they need to fit towards the knee. So you can see that you would then comfortably hold a stump, residual leg there. As I said, if the stump is very short, then of course the worry is that it will sit then back through this aperture. So thinking about a scenario with a long amputee, single or bilateral, the sling itself will give full body support. So it's full body support and there is access for hygiene if necessary. So very straightforward style, very popular and used successfully for long limb amputees. We can do it in different fabrics. This is polyester. You can have it in the mesh for bathing. You can add a head support or a waist support or a chest support. Things can be added on. So, it's just a standard style, very standard style. There is another option of application, which is to hammock the legs. This style back in the day was actually called a hammocking sling. So for hammocking, you would then lay the leg sections over each other to create the seat. So this, let's just explain. You take one leg through, and the other one, and then connect them together. This might be appropriate. It will close the aperture up, and it will close the legs together. You might be mindful if you've got a sensitive amputee. You know, you've got to think about the legs are going to be squashed together. So just to be mindful of that. Also, you can be quite vulnerable. If someone is sort of has some movement, you can see that you would topple forward, maybe add a chest strap or a waist support if needed, but just, you know, or slightly recline, but just to be aware that there's potential that you wouldn't use it if you've got someone that's quite active because of that. Maybe someone that's got a dress or skirt doesn't like the divided leg pickup, and it could be an option. And also some areas I have learned that what they do with this, they hammock the legs and then they take paddle over the stump and then connect that through. So you've got 2, 1. It's quite strange, but it has been done. And that just supports the leg there or the stump. It's a bit fiddly, and I can explain that if you ever need to do that in more detail. But that's possible. So that is the Fast Fit Deluxe. Let me check if there's any questions on that, Alice. Are we all right?
We don't have any questions. The camera just keeps going a bit in and out of focus. But I'm not sure. I'll try and resolve it and see what we can do. So sorry about that if people are experiencing that. I'm not quite sure why it's doing that.
We have a little bit of an internet lip today. Apologies. So looking at that style, and then the other deluxe shaped legs, if we hold that one up, Jude, I've got another shape here. So the deluxe shape, we tend to sort of treat those with the deluxe leg paddles that wrap around the leg section. Certainly Silvalea for deluxe slings, that type that have the leg paddles. But we also do the universal deluxe. So those that know our range quite well, the universal deluxe is this shape. So a little bit more angled. Again, wraps around the femur. We just hold this one up. And this one, what we have got, we've created a little strap that would wrap around the stump. So if you've got a stump that moves around, you know, there's not enough weight to keep it within the paddle, we can provide these little straps, and they are adjustable. So we've got 2 pockets here, so you could slide it in this little sort of strap in a higher position or a lower one. So that comes as standard single or bilateral. So just a little strap, not like a waist support really, but it will just keep the stump in place. But based on very standard shaped slings. So this is the universal deluxe shape, but with these little straps. The question there?
We've just got a quick question. Can those straps be added to an access sling?
No, I'll talk about that in a moment, so bear with me. Just looking at this style now, again, we can do it in different fabrics with a head support or waist support or chest support, so that, you know, think about the different fabrics, but in this shape. So if the shape suits, again, it's going to be long limb amputees and somebody that needs a bit more help with support. So because it's a full body supported sling, but still also will give access for hygiene. So those are the deluxe shape slings. Let me just explain the standard amputee, because this we know is used within contracts. So if you're viewing and you have a contract with this shape on, so standard amputee. Looks a little bit more complicated, lots going on, but actually it's quite straightforward. It's a straight leg shape, but the leg's hammock. I think we just hook it up in here. I'm going to show you. Explain a little bit more how it works. So it's a divided leg sling. It needs to be applied in a chair. It can be applied on a bed because this one's actually got a head support. Okay, so let's just, once it's applied, there's a little waist support here. The legs hammock. So these legs have straps underneath, and it depends which way you lay them. It's very difficult to explain, and hopefully the instructions of use will help you. But you can move the strap to the other side if you need to. It just folds through. And I've had to try and explain this over the phone because people will get this style and they think, oh, actually this doesn't work, the strap's on the wrong side. And that's because you need to just position it depending on how you're applying it in that hammock, and depending on which leg section you're putting underneath first and which one's on top. So once you've established that, you literally lay it over. So that one goes to Judith, feeds through the strap that's on the top. This is the top section, and this one I've got underneath. So that keeps the legs together. But again, we're still looking at long limb amputations at the moment, and we're looking at someone that needs more support because of the full body support of the sling. So once we've established the legs, then you've got these guider straps. Judith is going to go on the inside here through these, and the outer leg, the guider straps are on the back. There's two options depending on which way you've applied it. Sorry, it's very fiddly to show, but these leg straps have adjustable tapes. So once they're fitted on, you can then adjust the tension depending on how you need to apply those legs in the most comfort. But it's a hammocking pickup. You can see the aperture there, full body, full length bones in this one, so it's quite supportive. And then the head support, this is a roll down head support. So you can then roll it into the neck, which sometimes is quite nice rather than the full head support. And then the head tapes get fed through the shoulder and back through the slider adjuster there, through there to support. So that will support the neck, or you can have it fully extended like that. As long as you've got the head support tape fitted and adjusted accordingly, it will support. But I think it's quite nice just within the neck. You can have it, of course, without the head support. It is quite a thick sling. This one's got thick, comfort quilted lining to the lower half, so quite comfortable. But I just thought I'd explain it because I know it's on contracts with some people, and just so that you can see quite single or bilateral, but still quite long stumps because of that aperture. So you still would need to think about the long limb amputations for this style. All of the ones so far, long limb. Let me check, see if there's any questions on that one.
We do have a quick question, Mandy. Somebody said, I can't imagine carers being able to manage that. That sounds, that's very different to a standard sling presentation.
Yes, absolutely. It's very fiddly. So then if that is the situation, then we simplify it and use a different style. But because it's on a contract with certain groups around the country, it's worth showing it in case I've got a viewer that has to choose this style. But yes, we try and simplify it, and there are others that are easier. But yeah, just worth showing. And any other questions?
Yeah, we just got, what's the benefit from this sling as compared to standard normal sling?
Okay, it's fully quilted here, so it's much thicker, more comfortable. It's hammocked. You've got security of the straps, so they don't move away. Maybe the standard slings, they may split. adjustable. So it's just a traditionally old style that's been used successfully for amputees. But if you can simplify it, simplify it. But it's if someone's used it before, they like it, and it just comes as standard with this quilting. So it is very comfortable. If someone likes to be hammocked, the sling legs hammocked, then it's a nicer shape. But if you can hammock a standard sling, then successfully, that's fine. Just another option. Any more? Good.
Mandy, sorry, what was the name of this one? The full name of the sling again?
It's the standard amputee. It's on the poster. If you've got the poster, standard amputee 025 is the code. Right, so let's just take that off. So we've looked at the deluxe shape legs, so the deluxe shape with the paddles, where they're quite good for the residual leg to sit in. Full body, limited access for aperture, so that they're quite good for that. And then the straight leg ones that can hammock, again, still full body, limited access for toileting, but still you can carry that out. So if we look at the toileting sling, I'm just going to show you a standard toilet sling. The standard toilet sling. This, as you can see, would not support anybody with a residual leg or an amputee situation, unless it's a very long one. If you've got a very long knee and below, then possibly. Just going to put it around you. Toilet slings, they're the easiest to put on, and we know that. Carers like them because they can get access for hygiene purposes. But you can picture what would happen if you're using it in an amputee scenario. So let's just put this on. Click. There's a couple of tips I could share just to, help with using this for longer periods. You all right? But we've got to have a long stump. These leg paddles are going to wrap around the femur here. And cross together there. Put it moist. We go on the long leg. And the green. Arms are going to be on the outside. So it's quite, will give a lot of access, but you can see if there's no leg, how a short stump would immediately pull back. So it's not advisable. Even with a longish stump, the weight of that, there's no weight of the lower leg. So the leg will raise up and then still could slip back. So I would advise not, unless you've done an absolute thorough risk assessment, to use this style. Just not going to work. However, there is a solution. Let's just hold that. And we've got the same style, but with pockets. So we're looking at someone that's got really good tone, that can cope with this, because you need to make sure that they've got good upper body tone to be able to cope with a toilet sling. That's the first thing. But we have pockets that we can add, single or bilateral. This is a bilateral one. That side for me, please. And they are just attached. They're soft, they're toweling, and they're the soft superfine fabric. And they've got a little elasticated pocket, and they are attached, thank you, from the centre back And they go around the buttock, depending on if it's single or bilateral, and then it will support the stump if the stump then slips back. So that's an option if you're needing this type of sling, but with shortish stumps. Just hold that. Anything on. Difficult to picture, but you can see. I'll just put this round you, do. It's what we do. We create pocket that fits around the stump there, and then to access for hygiene, you ease this back. This is a bilateral, but you can ease it back to allow for that, but it will then support any residual leg there. It looks a little bit fiddly, but actually it's been quite successful, particularly if you've got someone that's got really good tone, perhaps a veteran, you know, they're really strong upper body strength, but they need something for toileting, then this is the pocket toilet sling. So if that's what we call it, the amputee pocket. Hopefully I've explained that. Just let me check. Any questions, Alice?
No questions, Mandy. Just somebody asking the name, but just to say again, it's the amputee pocket sling. Thank you.
Question earlier about whether you would put a strap on. I don't think we've ever been asked that, Annalena. I can't recall in my time putting a strap on this style. I would say possibly not. You know, if there's a worry about the stump slipping back, then we look at a different style. Because there's so much access here that we need to really think about it, as there's lots of potential for slipping through. Also, it's important with a toilet sling generally is to make sure it fits properly. Fit the waist support at the waist. Don't fit it too high, because otherwise it will ride up and push the shoulders up. Always fit it low. And also make sure you tighten up the waistband. So what can happen generally when the hoist takes up the slack, the body thins out, it elongates. So make sure this waist support is really firmly fitted. Fit it low and keep it down. So make sure if it's riding up, it's too loose, too big. Think about smaller size if you need to. Or the tone of that client is too poor to cope with this style. So, you know, it's really important with toilet slings to make sure that they're appropriate for that individual. Are you okay with questions, Alice?
All good.
Okay, let's move that out of the way. So if we've looked at the common toilet sling, a good tone, you know, good upper body tone. If we've got poor tone, we need to look at something more hammocking and supportive. So the other style would be our hammock long seat recline shapes. So I'm talking about the oblong shaped slings. But there's a few options. I've got those that you know, the traditional shape, long seat shape there. This is one in mesh for bathing. Very straightforward, needs to be applied on the bed. Would suit most situations, most amputee scenarios, because it will just support them in a bucket shape. You can have different fabrics. We can put an aperture in if you need to allow for toileting, and that's possible. But people tend to prefer this shape. This is our recline. I have got a dummy here that's quite useful to explain how it looks with an amputee. So this is the recline shape, all in one. It's all in one shape. It's got a little pommel strap here. So this pommel strap offers a bit more security, and it lifts the middle. So you can imagine if you've got the long seat shape, the legs roll in together, hips are forced together, whereas you've got the pommel, it just literally lifts that middle section and distributes the weight of the leg better, so they're more balanced. So that little pommel strap's quite beneficial. We've got this one is generally in the Superfine Plus fabric, which is our spacer fabric. So if it needs to be left in for extended periods, then it's possible. So you can see here, very smooth. There's no handles, there's no seams, so make it as smooth as possible. Also on this one, I've got hip tapes. So the hip tape is an addition. So it actually applies separately. The sling will come with a loop option. We've got provision for a loop there. So you just need to then provide the tape. And these are on a slider adjuster. So it adjusts according to the length that you need, and they feed through and then knock back on themselves. So hip tapes are really beneficial for a couple of things actually. So if you think about an amputee in this shaped sling and they're sort of folded up, you want to lift that hip. Adding a tape at the hip point really helps to do that. So it lifts the hip, and that by doing that, it distributes the weight better. It takes pressure from behind the knee or that area there. So it just will lift. So really good if you're trying to problem solve and distribute the weight better for more comfort. And you just adjust the tension accordingly. So what you need to do is set the slider to pick up simultaneously with the leg. So not have it too tight, otherwise it will force the hips. And if it's too loose, it won't do anything. So just to keep that tension at the right point to help with the weight distribution. Again, if you've got someone that tends to lean, if they've got scoliosis or they're leaning over, you can adjust the hip tapes asymmetrically if needed. So it's all about, you know, working out the optimum pickup position for that individual. So I would say this is probably a really good go-to style for most amputee scenarios, because it gives full body support. It will support each different length of stump. You can have it with an aperture. I have got one so you can visualize it. So this is the style, but it's got an aperture. So it would just be down to the skill of putting it in the right place and transferring to that one if you need to carry out a hygiene transfer. Needs to be applied on the bed because it's difficult to get on underneath in a chair. Can have a head support. Again, your chest strap, waist support, all those things. I've put this one with a neck roll. So these are quite good accessories anyway for any style, because they are a separate accessory that nestles like that. So they nestle in the neck rather than having a full head support. That can be quite more comfortable. It can be adjusted if you want to do it to the side if someone leans. And they are on sliders. They fit around the neck, and then the tape feeds through the loop on the sling and back through the slider to position. So you just need to thread it through. Once it's done and set, you won't have to fiddle and do it again. So you fit it both sides and adjust it to the right position there. So quite a nice option rather than having the full head support. So this is the in-situ recline. Again, we can do it in different fabrics if you like, but this Superfine Plus fabric is actually a mesh, like a spacer mesh. And so it can be used for bathing as well. And people have a couple of styles, a couple of option slings, so that in one for bathing, one for dry. So that I would say probably is one of the ones you need to just think about if you need to look at amputee situations. Limitations are bed application and not much access for toileting. And the legs will be, with all hammock slings, the legs will be closed together. So you need to be just think about the hips. And also another good point, if you've got someone that's shapely, painful hips, painful joints, check the hoist width. So whatever you take up to the hoist needs to be to a spreader bar that's a good width. Otherwise, you're going to cause problems with retracting, squashing. If you're taking up the tapes to a narrow spreader bar, it's really important if you're problem solving for some, significant issues like that, pain. Check about the width of your spreader bar. Any questions on that one?
No questions, Mandy.
We're good. Okay.
All good.
Hopefully, I haven't lost you too along the way. So think about it. The poster will help you, of course. So we've got straight leg options, the deluxe leg options, a couple of toileting. Although you can toilet with most of them if there's an aperture. And then you've got these long seat or recline options. So the only other option is if you've got a stud type hoist. So all the slings we've seen so far have been for the loop spreader bars. Just swap these over and then I can explain that one out the way. If anyone's worried about compatibility, we have a very, very comprehensive compatibility statement on the website. So, for confirmation of interchanging slings with different manufacturers' hoists. So please check that. Don't have any issues these days, but for your reassurance, there is a very good statement website. So if we have a hoist that is like this, so like a wishbone shape, nice shaped hoist, you haven't got the bar that comes down towards your face. They have stud fixing on, so the sling, the hoist has a stud, so the sling has to have a clip that locks onto the stud. Very simple, shoulder tape, leg tape, very simple for carers. This shape hoist is predominantly used within hospital environments, so it may not be an option for you guys. So it's one less to think about. But if you do have it, the standard sling for this is our high easy shape. This is a high standard sling for this shape hoist, high easy. So if we were dealing with short amputees, short stump amputations, then of course the worry is the aperture. So what we used to do is put a bridge to bridge the legs together. So it would give a little bit of access if hygiene was needed. Or we would fill it. So we'd fill that area fully. So what we have done is created a sling fully filled in. So this literally is full. It comes underneath the legs and there's very little short stumpy legs in the sling. So that would suit most types of amputee scenarios if you're using this situation. So we call it an all-in-one amputee sling for the clips. So quite a good option. You'd have to leave it on for extended periods because it would be difficult to get in and out. But it's very smooth. So if you do need to leave it on, we don't put any handles and things like that. So it's as smooth as possible. So that's the all-in-one amputee. So that is it in a nutshell. Still quite a few options. You probably, once you have a look at this poster, will dismiss some and then have your go-to styles. But it's just sort of making you aware that there are options. Clearly, we've used each of these in different situations. That's why they're still available. If you're worried and still not sure, talk to us. We would check, we would ask all these questions here and then try and work out a style, lead you towards some options that you can then check. But hopefully you won't be too concerned. I know some of our guys here get very worried about amputee situations. They think it's very complicated, but you just need to understand the length of stumps, the body tone. We've got good body tone, that's better. If they need a lot more support, need a fuller body support sling, they need access for toileting, they need something to be left in, and then what hoist. So, just a few questions will help you. But we are here to help. We've got a good team, we can link up, we can demonstrate, we can do an e-assessment if you've got a specific scenario where you need a one-to-one chat. We can show you what we've got. So please, use us to help with solving your problems. But hopefully it's not being too complicated and it's helped you a little bit to understand the options. Let me just check, Alice, have we got any other questions?
We do have one more question. For short residual limbs or above knee amputees, single or bilateral, the hammock style is the safest? Question mark.
Yes, it is. It's all down to the individual risk assessment, isn't it? Because if you've got someone that is very active, extends, maybe has a learning disability, and they, will be quite vulnerable in hammock style. So, you've got to think about that. We can add a chest strap, but if you've got someone that extends and throws themselves out, it's an open type sling. So we would need to just double check. I wouldn't say it's the best across for every scenario. It will depend on the individual situation. It's probably the go-to style. So if you've got someone that's fairly compliant, then yes. But more challenging behaviour, just check. We'll check with you and give some other options. More, Alice?
That's everything. Thank you, Mandy.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for your time. I'm sorry about the technical glitches today. I'm not sure what's going on, but hopefully you've got the gist of it. We will be able to give you the posters. I think Alice will send out a feedback form, which we ask you to kindly fill in. It does help us to improve things, see what's occurred, and make sure we're dealing with the right situations for you guys. So please feed that back to us. We'll then let you have all the posters. But we look at the website. The website's got a lot of information. Each product will have a full data sheet, size guide, sling shape, instructions of use, lots of photographs. If it's not on the website, then just go to the search and it will take you to some information. But if you can't find it, let us know and we'll make sure we can help you.
We do have one more question, Mandy. Sorry, bear with me. So if you have a bilateral amputee and they're compliant, would you use the standard sling with hammock technique or the standard amputee sling?
I personally would steer away from this standard amputee. It's fiddle. You saw how fiddly it was. Unless they're used to it or they know it, then I would probably go for a deluxe shape. Or did you say hammocking, Alice? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, the fast fit deluxe. So the fast fit deluxe, which is the first one we saw, the square one, that hammocks well. Look at that one. Or if you still, hammocking the recline, that's another one that hammocks. Anyway, but certainly the fast fit deluxe shape is more readily available if you need to try things. So that I would go for that one probably.